Next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel for the vehicle. So this is going to be a full walk around going through all the different steering wheel buttons and as well as that cluster screen. If you want to know how the media screen works, check in the description below, and you can also find a full walk around in the vehicle links as well in the description. But a few things to point out. Firstly, the steering wheel itself is going to be a manual telescoping. So just by our left knee, we've got a little release. We're going to pull that down. We can go in, out, up and down as necessary there. Click that to lock it back into place. And then the steering wheel is also going to be heated. So we've got a little heated button there, and it's heated all the way around, and it is fantastic. I love it. But a few things. Stick on the left-hand side, right on the very tip of that stick, is going to let us rotate so we can adjust what's going on with our running lamps. I always recommend just keeping it on the auto setting. We can flash our high beams out from there if we'd like to. Along the right-hand side, that's going to let us adjust our front and our rear windshield wiper. So front wiper up and down this way, rear wiper on that tip of that stick as well. And as you can see there, we also do have paddle shifters inside of this thing. So we do have the flexibility of using the shifter along the center stack if we want to change gears out that way, or we can adjust this way instead if we want to. But tons of different buttons available and a lot of different features there as well. So we've got this, which is a voice command prompt. So we'd be able to change songs, radio stations. We can navigate using our voice as well. Tons of different options that are available there. So I love it. It's so user-friendly, but so many options. And one of the cool things is that when we press it, we've got a little command button along the very top.
Here are some available commands.
And it can...
Screen, voice is not recognized.
So it does tell us exactly what we can do using that voice command prompt as well, which is fantastic. We've got a few different mode buttons here. So this mode button is going to let us change between AM, FM, Sirius XM, essentially all of our different available options for our media. We have to set it up that way in the media screen though, so it's not going to default on all of them, but it is available as an option. This is a unique button that we can also customize as well. So when we push the button, we can go through in order to change out a few different options available there as well. So a lot of flexibility there. We can answer or hang up on a phone call, and then we've got volume rockers there. So let's change out to, what are we gonna do? FM for a second there, and we can go volume up, down. We can push in the middle there to mute. So we can go up, down in order to adjust the volume, or just push in the middle to mute. And one of the cool things, I'm actually just gonna go to media for a second here. So if we go to our radio, that's even better, perfect. So we've got our radio there. Adjust the volume, and then one of the cool things is that we can take this knob now, we can go up and down with it in order to be able to change between our different presets, or we can also do a press and hold in order to be able to seek this way. So press and hold up, press and hold down in order to change between different stations that way instead. So there are quite a few different options and a lot of flexibility available inside of these things, and they've got a nice nice tactile feel to them as well, which is great. Along the right-hand side, series of other options now. So first thing to point out would be the buttons along the side here. And this is all going to be our smart cruise control system. So as you can see there, conditions not met because I'm parked in place. But as I start driving, it will be available there as an option. But if you want to know how a walk around of how this system works, check down in the description below. I have put together a walkthrough on how this thing works. But this thing essentially turns the smart cruise control system on, and then we can also increase or decrease. So what we do is once we turn it on, we increase or decrease in order to set the speed that we'd like. If the vehicle senses somebody's in front of us, it's going to automatically slow you down, or it's going to speed you up as necessary based off of our current speed there. This is a distance indicator. So after we have the smart cruise system on, it's how close or far do we want to be away from the vehicle that's in front of us. And then we've got our lane centering button there as well. So we've got a few different modes. We've got a mode that's going to gently nudge us back into our lane, but this thing, so our lane follow assist, what it's going to do is keep us perfectly balanced in the lane. So we don't need to worry about essentially, well, we do need to have our hands on the steering wheel, but it's actually going to automatically rotate the wheel to follow the lane as long as it can recognize the lane markings as well, which is phenomenal. So we can turn this thing on or off, and you can see along the very top there, as we do, it's going to add and remove buttons there as necessary. So it is kind of nice that we've got that as an available option. And then lastly, we've got these two buttons there. So this first one is going to let us move between all of our different cluster screens there. And then this one is going to let us move up and down between subscreens. So what I'm going to do is zoom you in a teeny little bit in order for you to be able to see what's going on there as we go. But just knowing as we go, all I'm doing is just moving up and down this way. So we've got our base attention level there. We can move up and down and go into our different settings. So we push OK. Oh, we hold OK, I should say. Oh, in order to go into settings there. not there. So we can press and hold in order to go between all of our different driver assistance settings. But if you want to know how all of these ones work, check in the description for the walkthrough on this instead. But we've got those options available. We can move up and down between different options. And pushing next, we've got our drive info. So we've got our trip counters, sensor refueling, accumulated info, timers, and then our digital speedometer there as well. And then down we've got our drive info. And any of these screens, so our trip counters, drive info, etc., we can just press and hold the OK button in order to be able to reset. So it's really straightforward. There was like a second, 1, 2, and yeah, like 2 seconds, and it resets it for us there. So it's really straightforward, and all we do is just push this one in. So really straightforward there. Button press again, brings us to our map. And then one of the cool things, so what we can do is just go here. We can look at different point of interest icons and a number of other things. So let's say if we go, actually, you know what? I'm Canadian, I'm gonna do this. Haha. Tim Hortons. We've got a few options available, so we just select. Oh, I guess I have to start. So set as destination, there we go. So as you can see there, oh, start guidance. Actually helps if you start the route. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. So as you can see there, we've got our route that's showing up, and it's right in the middle cluster screen there as well, which is fantastic. Now, in order to be able to cancel out, we can't cancel it out on the screen whatsoever, so we can go up and down to see how close we are in order to get to our destination. But in order to be able to cancel the route out, we actually have to go back through, and we just go to cancel route, and the route canceled, and it brings us right back to our base compass there instead. We button press one more time in order to get to either our tire pressure or our intelligent all-wheel drive, so we can see which wheel is getting which amount of power, so for wheel slippage and things like that. So it is kind of nice. Now, a few other things to point out, depending on the version of the vehicle that you're in. Watch this. We've got our blind spot monitoring system, so we can see what's going on in the blind spot on either the left or the right hand side, and it is so cool that we've got that as an available option. Like, yeah, could we just use the blind spot monitoring system on the side view mirrors? Absolutely, but having it pop up right in this cluster screen is amazing. One thing to note though, that's not going to be standard across the entire Sportage lineup, so it is strictly going to be available in some of the higher trim levels of the vehicle. But it is nice that we've at least got that as an available option, and as you can see there, it's just by flicking our side view mirror there, so our turn stick, in order to see what's going on. It is so cool. One other thing to point out, we do have the flexibility of adjusting the number of beeps that we get there. So you see it's got 3, we can have it just have 1, 3, 5, or 7, and that's all done right through that middle screen there as well. But so many different options that are available. So you can see they're very straightforward in order to be able to adjust out. Nice comfortable wheel. Looks fantastic with our new Kia logo and a quick horn test. Really nice. I think Kia did a really good job on this one, and I've got to say I really love the blind spot monitoring system that's available inside of this thing. Fantastic job.